Good morning, everyone. I'm Monica. The topic I'm going to introduce today is three forms of killer whale in Antarctic water. And before we start, we should know what is killer whale first. The specialist name of killer whale is Orcinus orca. They are the biggest toothed whale belong to the oceanic dolphin family, with cosmopolitan distribution in the world ocean, except at sea. They are carnivorous and highly social. It doesn't mean that they have lots of friends, it means they have a complex culture in their society. As they said, I'm strong and smart and everywhere, just like Lucy. How many species are there? According to previous studies, scientists believe that there is only one single species in the world. However, there are some scientists believe that there are different forms in Antarctica. Such as Nicolet and Brazil and Vladimiro. They also find two new species of killer whale. And although in each case they are considered as dwarf form, which means 1 to 1.5 meters smaller than the nomination form. Their relationship with nomination form is still unclear. Thus, our purpose is to discuss the killer whale observed in Antarctica and the relationship with Orcinus manus and Orcinus glacialis. Our experiment is according to published and unpublished photos from Antarctica in water south of 60 degrees south latitude. Based on color pattern, habitat selection, and prey preference, this evidence indicates that there are at least 3 field identifiable forms of killer whale in Antarctica. In this experiment, type A is the typical form of Orcinus orca. And how do we identify killer whale? We base on the relative size and orientation of the white eye patch, and precise or abscess of dorsal cap. White eye patch is the white area around its eyes, and dorsal cap is the dark area stretched through his forehead to just right behind his dorsal fin. In 3 kinds of killer whale, type A has the median size of white eye patch, which parallel to the body axis. Type B has the largest size white eye patch, which also parallel to its body axis. And type C has the smallest size of white eye patch and which forward slanted to the body axis. And type B and C has dorsal cap, but type A has not. Type A is bigger than the other, and type A is black and white. However, type B and C tend to be gray and white. Sometimes could be yellowish, which attributed to diatom infestation. Diatom is a kind of algae. After talking about their appearance, let's discuss their distribution and habitat. Type A has a circumpolar distribution in Antarctica, which means it distributes in around Antarctica. This is Antarctica, and the circle is 40 degrees south latitude. This line is longitude. And their habitat in open water in Antarctica. Type B also has circumpolar distribution, but its nurture habitat essentially occurred in open water and traveling among loose sea ice. We believe that they are sky hopping for seals on the sea ice. Sky hopping is the move like this. This picture shows the detail of habitat preference of type A and type B in Antarctica Peninsula area. We can see that type A occurred in open water, and type B stay more closer to the shore. As for type C, it has now been recorded in Antarctica Peninsula area. Most of sightings are from East Antarctica, especially the Ross Sea, and occurred in fast ice, which means it stayed more closer to the shore than type B. And where is type A? It's in open water, and it's the only one staying in here. It is so lonely. According to the previous study, the group size of larger shore killer whale, which is type A, is 1 to 15 animals per herd, and ice inhabiting forms, which might be type B or C, is 150 to 200 animals per herd. This table shows the average group size of type A, type B, and type C. In type A, is 13.6 and type B is 11.8, type C is 46.1. We can see that the group size of offshore killer whale is relatively smaller than nearshore killer whale. What do they eat? Type A takes mainly Antarctic ring whales. Type B regularly takes seals, but perhaps whales and penguin also. Type C appear to prey mainly on fish in open water, but they have been seen to fly hopping near the seal. Next, we will discuss the relationship between type B and Orcinus nanus. According to previous study, Orcinus orca and Orcinus nanus are common in 120-degree west longitude to 60-degree west longitude, which corresponded to the distribution of type A and type B, but no type C. As you can see in this picture, this area is among this, but the type C is not distributed in here. Thus, we thought type B might be Orcinus nanus, but it still has no taxonomic standing yet. And next, we will discuss the relationship between type C and Orcinus glacialis. Type C distribute in the same area with Orcinus glacialis, and type C it has a larger average group size than the other two mammal-eating forms. It also known to eat fish, so we consider that type C is probably Orcinus glacialis. Last, we'll discuss the comparison between community in Antarctica and northeastern Pacific to show their uniqueness. As for similarity parts, community in Antarctica and in northeastern Pacific could be divided into mammal-eating forms and fish-eating forms. In Antarctica, the mammal-eating form group size is 10 to 50 individuals per herd, and fish-eating form is 150 to 200 individuals. In northeastern Pacific, the mammal-eating forms group size is 1 to 7 individuals per herd, and fish-eating form is 5 to 50 individuals. We can see the relationship between prey and group size is similar in Antarctica and in northeastern Pacific. As for difference part, mixing forms with herds was not be found in Antarctica, but in northeastern Pacific, at least two kinds of nearshore killer whale share the same habitat. We think that because of the isolation mechanism are already in Antarctica, and sea ice could be the major reason to promoting this divergence. Thank you for listening.
All right, Never.
So you got the pictures and the most in the middle of your talking. Can you explain what does the picture means? It's it's kind of messy and I don't really get the point of the picture.
Which picture?
The long thing, the circle and some small graph. I think it's the part you're talking about, the C type or something. Somewhere. Yeah, this picture. Can you like kind of describe the detail of the pictures?
This
Yeah.
Explain his question.
explain this picture. Right. And as I said, according to the previous study, these two kinds of dwarf species. Hello. Oh, I show this picture is to explain why type B is considered as Orcinus genus. It's because of their distribution. And in previous study, Orcinus orca and Orcinus genus are common in 120 degree west longitude, is like this area. And type B and type C also distribute in this area, but type C has not. So we consider that type B might be Orcinus genus because type A is Orcinus orca.
Thank you.
Alisha.
What is the relationship between prey and the group size of the kill?
And in this paper,
Now explain her question.
what is the relationship between prey and the group size? And in this paper, they also didn't mention it a lot, but I think this might be because of the prey, the group size of prey and the group size of killer whale is in the correlation. It's like more prey in one herd is correspond to the more predator in one herd.
Rebecca.
You said that type A is appeared in open water and type B is in near shore. Why?
Repeat.
Type A is in open water and type B
It's in near shore.
is in near shore. The paper did not explain this, but I think maybe because of the prey. But we don't know it's because of prey, so they stay in near shore or they stay in near shore because of the prey. The paper did not mention.
Jimmy.
Can you explain about the divergence in Antarctic and the North Ocean?
Sorry,
Divergence.
divergence. Oh.
Explain his question.
Explain the divergence in Antarctica and in northeastern Pacific. Because in Antarctica, the two different groups will not mix together in the same area, but in northeastern Pacific, they do. So scientists believe that the isolation mechanism, which means they can't breed the next generation together, is already, and in northeastern there is nearshore habitat, but in Antarctica it also has the open water habitat. So and the difference in the prey preference, like Antarctica, it seals, whales, fish, blah blah blah. But in northeastern Pacific, the prey is more the item of the prey is less.
James.
I want to know what is orca. Is orca scientific name?
Yes.
Repeat his question.
What is orca? Orca is 70 them. It is the species name, and orca means like whale.
Janice, okay, please.
Why scientists think Orcinus lanus and Orcinus glacial are different species from the one we have already known?
Repeat.
What is the why the scientists think Orcinus glacialis and Orcinus orca are different from the one we know? Right.
Is that right?
And these two are considered as dwarf form is because they are smaller than the nomination form. And the difference between this dwarf form and nomination form is they compare their form size and found that the Orcinus lanus have the relatively larger form than Orcinus orca, but Orcinus glacialis are 40% smaller than Orcinus orca, so that might be different species.
June.
The picture form size.
Group size.
And what is an range of group size?
Repeat. What is an average group size? N is the how many groups we discovered in Antarctica, and average group size is accounted from the range of group size. The range of group size is how many individuals in one herd, and the average group size is the average of the how many in one herd.
So you can see Monica's presentation. I think what I found found great was this was actually the original data in her paper, and this is of course not readable for presentation, and she has summarized them very nicely, so you can see these tables. These are all made based on text in the paper, so I think in that part she did a good job so that you could follow her talk very easily. And her English was also quite fluent, but of course there are space for improvement. So first of all, I would say I think all of your fonts could be enlarged. I don't know, let's see what's the font size here. All right. All right, it's 24. I would say you can enlarge it, or at least you try to leave as little space as possible. Try to make the font really, really large and make it easily readable for people at the back row. And then there are two pronunciation issues. Especially this one. I have been thinking maybe I don't know. Sorry. I have been thinking about this when you pronounce it. What's true? Okay. Store. Yeah. Check Yahoo dictionary to look for their pronunciation. Otherwise, it can be quite confusing. This happens here because here you were talking about previous studies, and I thought you actually mentioned this word, right? When you discuss this, but this term is not printed here. But I think this is a so-called keyword. but you did not print it here and the pronunciation was incorrect. So that was quite a confusion when I was listening to this slide. So I would suggest that actually these kind of previous study names, you can remove it, and you can just leave the key words such as dwarf species or dwarf form on the slide, so that it's easier for us to understand what's going on. Because names here in this talk, they have less information than dwarf species or dwarf form. And these ones are actually quite nice because these are not in the paper. So in the paper, they are just photos like this. So I'm glad to see these figures. It's quite clear. And then there are some way to say latitude and longitude. So when you were saying this, I think many of you might do the same. It's really awkward, like 60 degree, what? Can you say that again? Yeah, south latitude. Usually we just say 60 degrees south, 60 degrees west. Otherwise I was, oh, what's going on? So keep it short. And then another thing that I hope to see improvement next time is that you can speak slowly, because you spoke really, really fast, and especially in slides like this one. I was quite confused what's going on, and you spoke fast without the keywords printed. So next time, try to speak slower and speak with modulation in your tone. Try not to just like a machine reading. Try to read with, when you talk about keywords, you can slow down and speak slower. So we know, oh, that's a key point I have to listen. That will also make 10 minutes easily. You just speak slower, then you make 10 minutes, right? So I think the content is really nicely prepared, but in terms of stage performance, there's still space for improvement. So let's thank Monica.